Okay, here we have the 11th of December, Tuesday, and we've got a variety of meetings running which are all pretty ordinary, as is often the case on a Tuesday. Betfair in its wisdom has also got an outage today between 3 and 5 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, so in other words it's pretty much a good day to give a miss completely. Now there's various races today, and I thought for a change we'd have a look at a race at Wagga. The rail's out 4 metres from the 1400 to the winning post, so it's not ideal as well. It's a good forward track and the weather is fine. Must have had showers before. The race I was thinking of having a look at is race 3. It's a 1400 metre 3-year-old plus maiden. Set weight, average age 4. 116 starts, so it's got slightly more than that 100 starts that really, if we're going to be looking at any sort of market we want to look at. 22% places, so they're not great horses, but at the same time they're alright. So from the top we'll go through it very quickly. B&B Barney, $25 on the market, showing 41, 59 kilos, well that's about the benchmark weight, barrier 12. Ran okay from a wide barrier last time. It's up 200 metres. It could be a place chance. It's only been running places at pretty weak tracks, so we'd have to be preferring it. Moving on to Tutorial. Ran second last start. Got back from a wide barrier. Has a wideish barrier, but slightly better. 31 days off. It's stepping up 100 metres. Has run a third at Newcastle before. Must be, I would say, a place chance. You can of course add more features into the settings. Alright, moving on to the next one. Wyong. Yeah, he did run a third at Gundagai after leading from a wide barrier. Over 1400. The next two runs have been pretty ordinary. So pretty hard to know what to do with this horse, so it could be there for a place. We'll prefer it for the minute. Fox beat 7th last start, beaten 7 lengths at Wagga on a Saturday from barrier 1. It's now got barrier 10. We would be thinking it's not going to go well. It did have a bit of a purple patch there on that riverside there, and did run a place at Wagga some time ago, but it seems to be out of form. It is third up, so it could improve. The first up run wasn't too bad, beating 3.8 lengths, so it's probably there as another potential place chance. We'll prefer it. Okay, Luga Lad's been running arguably at a slightly weaker track at Canberra. Has been racing well. Running placings the last 3 starts, we'd have to say some chance. Romagal third up as well, hasn't really finished close up. Its only claim to fame is a second at 4 at Holbrook, beating 2 runners, but then it did come out and run a placing at Wagga. So when it's got a little bit of form it looks like it could be okay, but at the minute it looks pretty hopeless. It's one of these ones that's a huge over, but really looking at its form now it doesn't look that great. Well, let's do it. Yeah, another one of these horses coming over from New Zealand. So it's run 5th of 12, coming from a fairway back from a wide barrier with 59 kilos. So it's pretty much in the same boat today as what it was last time. Stepping up 200 metres, it did run a couple of placings over longer, so that would have to be some chance. Samara's Choice, 2 starts only, beaten a fair way. Was last at Warwick Farm and stayed back there. Has got barrier 1, so if they boot it up it could be one of those horses to run a place. It is first up. Hasn't had a trial, had a couple of trials before running last time. Chances are first up over 1400 without a trial is pretty tricky. Prefer that one. Rewarding Girl, 3rd of 6 at Hay, hardly what you would call fantastic form, so we'll prefer that one as well. Il Professionale, okay, the Italiano. So 6th of 13, over 1200 at Wagga last start, from a wide barrier, came from a fairway back to be beaten 2.19 lengths clearly. Pretty good. Third up, this looks like a strong chance. Layer Cake, not a bad movie. Second of 3, so in other words it managed to beat one horse home last time. Now it's very hard to assess these races where there's only 3 starters. Hard to say whether it was a good race or a bad race. And it was a soft 7, so we can't even use the time as an indicator. Coming up from closer to Melbourne, Blake McDougall. It's got a few things going for it, but we're going to prefer it based on what it's done. 14, Nangar has a 4th of 4, beaten 1.36 lengths in a Wyong Picnic Maiden. Not what we would call form that suggests that Nangar is going to be getting any closer than last in this race, unfortunately for the owners. Stafford, 4th last start, beaten 4.5 lengths from barrier 12. It's now got barrier 2, so it's got a better barrier. Has run 3rd at Cootamundra, beaten 2.5. Doesn't look like the extra distance is going to suit it. 11 starts for 1 placing only, so we'll prefer this one. We must be running out of horses pretty soon. There we go. That's the end of going round the first time. So if we sort it in terms of the market, we have Il Professionale on top, followed by Luga Lad, and the only other one we like is Wells Do It, which is down the bottom but not considered at all in the market at all. The next thing to have a look at, we can have a look at the graph to see if there's anything unusual. Luga Lad's got these nice placings here. Romigal's got this rather high rating here, but then the rest of it's so-so. Nothing of any value on the graph. Let's have a look at the gear changes. Romigal's got the blinkers. Wells Do It has got pads on the front. I'm not sure exactly what pads will do, but that could be bad or could be good. I'm not sure, so we'll just ignore that. Tutorial has got a whole lot of changes. Barrier blanket, bit lifter, stallion chain. It's got so many things we can't even fit it in. Tongue tie off, you name it. So they're planning, it's a bit like one of those soldiers going into Black Hawk Down. It's got a lot of gear, so lots of changes. It must be some sort of chance of winning, I guess, but we've got it in here for a place. Okay, the next thing we can do is have a look at the replays, see if there's any runs. So on the 20th of the 10th we've got 4 horses in theory run against each other. Let's have a look at that. In here, Tutorial's beaten Nangar by a little bit, and Nangar's Tutorial, barrier 13 to barrier 7, it's a little bit better off, so you'd think it could run about the same perhaps. Nangar's from barrier 8 to barrier 3, so it might run a reasonable race as well, but we've already eliminated that. Not much to learn out of this. 1st to the 12th, so that's a little bit more recent. Here we end up having Stafford. Stafford is one that's beaten home Wells Do It, and in fact beat it home by 1.6 kilos. So here we have an example where the comparisons has thrown up a horse that otherwise we would have just been ignoring. So we need to take a closer look at Stafford, see if there's anything else. The rest of them is only 2 runs. Now you can go through those, they can be useful, but I don't want this video to go forever. So Stafford, he's managed to run 4th last start, coming from a fairway back over 1200 metres, stepping up to 1400 could be an advantage. We did say before he's only got a place over 1100 at Cootamundra, so maybe he's better suited over a bit longer, so that could be a roughie that we'd have to chuck in as a chance. Okay, one more thing, we'll have a look at the sectional ratings. Looking at the ratings here, we've got Luger Lad and Il Professionale on top, so we've got those two already. So they must be going in as our chances. And the second top, we've got Foxbeat B and Barney, so we don't have 4 and 1 at all. 4 Foxbeat and 1 B and Barney. Well, Foxbeat's way down, and looking at his form, he did run well over 1,000 metres, and he has got these placings in here. So he could be one if you're going to be taking some wider trifectas of first fours to throw in. And the other one, B and Barney. B and Barney's actually an over on the market, so he's run admittedly only at Berrigan, so probably the pressure's going to be too much for him going into this race, looking at it. But plus the barrier 12, I would be saying we could leave him out. So there you have it. On the summary, these are the two to beat, 5 and 11. On the market, 5 and 11 are at the top of the market. So to finish off on this race, we're going to take 5 and 11, and we're going to save on we'll take the 15 because it's an over. We'll take the 5 and the 11, and we'll take the 15, and we'll save on 7. Okay, so again, as I've said before, there's no point doing something here where we're going to be looking at things where you can't apply the same approach. I haven't looked at anything else for this race in the slightest. This is all just based on what you can get straight out of the ratings calculator. Now you can improve your position by waiting to see what the betting is on this race. It's at 2:35, so in theory it's before the outage on Betfair. You can have a look at the mounting yard and make some perhaps better assessments. So there you have it. That's the end for this video. We'll review it on the website later on today.